The roaring game. We all love it, but sometimes curling just isn't as fun as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. Don't get stuck in your curling club this year. Learn the game inside and out. Play for your favorite country and take the curling world by storm. With up to 4 players per console, you can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the playoffs here from the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown in Swift Current. My name is Sean Joyce. 16 teams started play here Friday morning. We're down to the 8 playoff teams now. The matchup we've got for you here has Colton Flasch against the Korean team of Yeongseok Jeong. Jeong qualifying out of the C event just a couple of hours ago with a win over Steve Laycock, made a highlight shot in the 6th end, came through a port to make a very thin double, counted 5. If you haven't seen that yet, you might want to take a chance to go back to the YouTube channel and take a peek. Colton Flasch, on the other hand, qualified yesterday through the B event, and by virtue of that B event win being the higher seeded team against a C event team here, he does have last rock in the first end of play. Throwing the red stones, and just the one stone in play, that stone at the back of the house. The team's looking to exchange hits, and I have to admit this isn't something that we've seen a lot this week. A lot of these teams have been willing to play fairly aggressively right from the first end. I'll apologize in advance for the names I'm going to mispronounce, but for the Koreans, this is the second. Sung-hoon Oh, the lead, Ji-hoon Seong, Jeon-duk Park is the third, and the skip, Yeongseok Jeong. And for Colton Flasch, the team out of Saskatoon. In the hacks now, the second, Kevin Marsh, his brother Daniel, twin brother, sweeping on the left. In the white is Catlin Schneider, the third, and the skip, Colton Flasch. Makes the hit. This one's going to roll, and just out of the rings. Looks like it does stay in play, though. This will give Park an opportunity to practice the draws. I didn't have a chance to watch the practice here before this game, but in the preliminary round, you throw the practice before the game, and then you throw draw to the button to determine last rock. So a lot of that pre-game practice is geared towards finding the weight and the path for the draw to the middle. Here in the playoffs, when the hammer is predetermined, they probably have played a few other types of shots in the practice. So they may have a better idea early on for the line for things like hits on the edges, but may have been a factor in these teams deciding to play this first end rather open. As soon as one slid in, there's a chance to play some more draws to the middle, a few open hits, get an end under your belt. It's been a long day for the Korean team already. They had to play 10 o'clock this morning and 2 o'clock this afternoon just to qualify. Colton Flasch, on the other hand, qualified through the B. The B qualifiers were 7 o'clock last night, so he's had 24 hours between starts. You can access all of the games. Go to Curling Zone, and there are links on all of the games to their respective YouTube channels. All 4 games being broadcast live, and we will have the semifinals for you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The final slated for 1 p.m. tomorrow. Catlin Schneider, a little bit of a rollover to the side now. Still would have to be pretty unfortunate to jam on that back one, but there is a possibility it could come into play. Hard to tell from the overhead it's tight. If you dead jammed a stone right onto that rock that's just out the back, it might actually be biting the 12-foot. So the Grains might look to just hit on the nose here rather than try to roll back to the center line. Skip stones to come. This is the first for Yeongseok Jeong. Without last rock here in the first end. Makes the hit, does sit right there, and I think Park, forgetting there was a rock back there, I think it would have clipped it, and definitely would have rolled out if it made contact. So the two teams agree on that and remove it from play. Had a chance to peek at the replay as well, and I think it was going to catch it, so they've got the right result there. Now nothing left to jam on anyway. Colton Flasch will just look to exchange hits here and should have an opportunity with his final stone to blank this opening end of play, keep last rock into the second. I will likely be talking to Colton sometime tomorrow, and rest assured I'm going to be asking, because Catlin has worn the whites in I think every game but one, and the one game he didn't wear the whites, they struggled a little bit, and I don't want to say that curlers are superstitious, but curlers are superstitious, so this might be just a case of Catlin doesn't want to wear the blacks for the rest of the weekend, because that was the one game that the team just really didn't look themselves. Jeong with his final stone just looks to hit, stay right there. So Colton Flasch with his final stone will have the chance to blank. Keeping the weight firm. It'll run straight with these aggressive rocks. They really have to start slowing down before they curl. Makes the hit. Easily rolls the shooter out of play. Put a blank on the board. No score after one end. Colton Flasch continues to have last rock in this quarterfinal.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you and your farm ahead of the curve. Grow with us at victorycanola.com.
An open first end. Colton Flasch with the blank. First stone of this second end brought into the top of the button area as well. Colton Flasch going to look for the hit and roll to the corner this time. This might just be a case of wanting to get things off the middle, though. I think if you get the roll to the corner, you might see, no matter what happens on the next one, Colton Flasch throw the corner guard. Makes the roll to the 8-foot. That gets the play off the center line. Jeong looking to roll back to center, but if he does it now, he'll be behind the tee line, and you may well see Colton Flasch throw the corner guard anyway. You come with the brush from the other side trying to get a little more curl, and it does hit right on the nose. And as I said, Colton Flasch now going to call for the corner guard. That's just a case of that first stone was just a little too good to ignore, worried that if you throw the corner guard, they put up the center, and it's a tough stone to deal with. So you deal with it first. You still get one chance to throw a guard that they can't hit on the next one. Corner guard made. This is still the fifth rock of the end. The Koreans can't do anything with the corner guard, and certainly not going to try to cover up a stone at the edge of the 8. So asking for a center guard now. Decision time for Flasch now. You put up the corner guard for a reason. You could go right around it. Looking at the hit and roll as well. Kevin Marsh with the out-turn come-around attempt, trying to get around that corner guard. If he's dead buried on the tee line, boy, it would be close. To be dead buried, I'm just looking at the yellow on the other side and line up behind the guard. It would be closest to whose shot, but the most important thing, get this dead buried. It becomes a stone that it's hard for the Koreans to remove it. You can deal with that yellow one on the other side later. Not right to the tee line, but it is buried. In fact, if anything, peeks out a little bit on the wide side. I did have a chance to call the C qualifier game that the Koreans played, and that was my first chance to look at them, but they were very good at the runbacks in that particular game. So I'm kind of expecting to see them play that here. Looking for the run, and I think from the indication from Jeong, looking to hit it just a shade on the center line side. Drive the guard across the top of the one in the rings, clip it, and then roll towards center with his shooter. Close, maybe a little thin on the first one, drives it across, and the shooter's going to roll all the way across and out of play. So just the one guard now on center line. Flasch has second shot, looking to make a hit on the shot rock and keep those rocks well spread out across the house. Try to get his deuce here in the second end. Nothing out of the brushers yet. Now sweeping the offside, trying to get a little more curl. Definitely wants to stay in the rings here. Nice, quiet, controlled hit weight. Kevin Marsh with the hit, rolls to the edge of the 12. He's got about as much room between those rocks as he could, and it would be very flat to try any kind of a double. For the Koreans, two choices: try to roll behind the guard, or try to roll a couple of feet past the guard and start to try to group those red stones on the other side. He showed both options. I'm not sure which one is plan A. Well, either way, he had to get across the nose, and this one stays a little bit on the outside. He does make the hit, but the shooter will roll out of play as well. This gives Catlin Schneider a chance to draw to the open side of the 12-foot. brief discussion there about coming around the Korean center guard. By this point in the event, most of these teams have seen each other play a couple of games. Colton has probably been at a few events with this Korean team as well, and knows how well they play the run backs. Doesn't want to give them that opportunity. Just split the house here. You're in good shape to try to get 2. Rusher's just really waiting for this to start moving, and then you'll see them bring it back to the T-line or maybe a little bit behind. Dead across from the other red stone on the 12, the other side. Flasch sitting 2. Jeong this time definitely looking for I saw the indication was the hit and roll behind cover. Still does have the option if you roll past the guard and it gets a little deeper than when Colton Flasch makes the play on it. There might be a double off the one in the 12-foot. Again, electing to play the intern, he has to cross the face a little bit. And again, this is staying on the high side. Makes the hit, actually rolls into the 12-foot. Does stay for shot rock though. Colton Flasch going to have to make a play on it. He'd like to stay right there. This is just exactly the kind of end Colton Flasch wanted to play here. It's fairly risk-free. Got the house well spread out. Chance to get his deuce. Not having to take any risk yet. Rushers were down right away on this one for line. Going to make the hit. This one's going to roll towards center. Does stay open just. And that is important. If you roll under the corner, under the center guard there, you're behind the T-line, and you would see Jeong freeze down to it, and that would take your end away. As it is, this is a fairly short roll to get behind cover now. Koreans looking for the hit, and they need to roll about a foot. 15 inches maybe to get buried. They are buried. They might be behind, just behind the T-line. Makes the hit, rolls across, and does bury that stone and splitting the T-line. So Colton Flasch definitely needs to move it. Looks like with that broom, he's going to try to pass it through the back of the house. At most, can see maybe just a sliver of that rock from the hacks. But we know from 3 days of competition here already that there is big finish here, and it has held up so far for 3 days. Sometimes you will see some of the finish come out of these rocks as an event goes on. It hasn't done that yet. Got room by the front one, so they're sweeping from the offside looking for some extra curl. And not enough extra curl as he does go by it. Well, just like that, now suddenly the Koreans thinking about a steal here. Hard to say as that rock went by. I'm not so sure that he didn't touch it, and because I think he had a sliver at the edge of the rock before. Now I don't know if you've got anything. Colton was following the rock down, so it's hard to see it. The Koreans, I think, here looking at coming right to the face of their own. Certainly, if you're going to play to come in at all, you've got to try to have second shot. And the higher you are, the less you're going to bury here. You don't want to leave Colton Flasch any kind of shot for a double, because he'll make it. If you can get right to the face of your own, Colton may have to try to run the guard back, and likely is only killing one when he does that. Final stone for the Koreans without last rock here in the second. No score, but they are sitting one on the button behind cover. Looking to sit on top of it. A lot of room by the front one, but really moving now. This might be just a little bit strong though. Gonna bounce off. Nudged his own back too. There's definitely room for Colton to get in there to score. The question, and that's what they're looking at, is can he get to the inside of that stone that was just thrown with enough weight to double the yellows? The stone that was just delivered is a little bit higher than the other one. So he's probably got to hit half or less, and with that broom you're thinking maybe bumper weight, you know it'll finish a little bit. Picked up the brush fairly early. Now they have to wait for it to curl, trying to help it curl. He's got to get to the inside of that stone just to make sure he rolls in for shot rock. Gets to the nose, doesn't get to the inside though, and it's going to be a steal of one for the Koreans. Jeong with a 1-0 lead after 2 ends of play. Colton Flasch continuing to have last rock.
The reason we trust Western Sales with our business is the people. I'm sure that there's 100 years experience coming out of that shop. We trust them because we do a CMI on our combine and on our tractor. When our equipment comes out of Western Sales, it's going to be good, because if it's not, they send us another combine, they send us another tractor. And we're not naive to the fact that that probably costs them a lot of money. So we just know that the service that we're getting at Western Sales is above par to everybody else.
Steal of one for the Koreans in the second end gives them the 1-0 lead as we begin play here in the third, and they've called for the tight center guard. Colton Flasch asking Daniel to throw the corner now. Probably a little bit of disappointment for the Flasch team. They had pretty good control of that end. It was just one stone that rolled too close to the middle, and a very nice hit and roll by Yeongseok Jeong with his first stone. Set up the opportunity for the steal. They weren't able to make the final stone. Had a chance. Just didn't get quite the finish they needed. But they will try again here in end number 3 to see if they can't generate a couple of points. Had their chance in the first, or pardon me, in the second. First end was wide open. Yeongseok with the come around attempt puts it in the top of the 8-foot, dead behind cover. Colton going to ask Daniel Marsh to play kind of a tick shot here. This is almost more like a split. Just trying to move the guard off the center line, and ideally he wants the shooter to come into the rings behind the corner guard. Doesn't care if they put the guard into the house. Might have liked to hit it just a shade thicker, but that does the job. Gets the shooter into the house, the edge of the shooter's under the guard, and more importantly, that stone at the top of the 8-foot now open. If you hit the guard a little bit thicker, you don't come through with as much weight. Maybe stay in behind the guard. Would have pushed that guard a little farther as well. Sing-hoon Oh. Looking to come wide around the guard, make the hit. Had the brush on all the way. Makes the hit, but rolls past the guard out into the open. Jeong sitting 2. Colton Flasch with last rock here in the third end, and a couple of corner guards to work with. The one tight corner guard belonging to the Koreans, probably not looking to roll behind that one. Again, he knows how good they are at the run backs. You'd hate to give them a short run back on their own guard. So Kevin Marsh looking to hit the stone on the top of the 8-foot, the one on the center line. Roll across behind his own corner guard. Plan B, they could just roll in front of the other yellow too. And I think what happened there, that was almost down to plan C. When they realized they weren't going to roll, they switched the sweeper. See if they couldn't get a little bit of it in behind that tight yellow. Stays in the open though. Oh, once again, trying to make the hit. I think he'd like to stay right there this time. Maybe roll to split center. Does hit right there. Kevin Marsh going to make another play on that stone at the top of the house. You might wonder why they don't go after shot rock, but really that's the stone at the top of the 12-foot near the center line. It's a little bit more dangerous to Colton Flasch right now. There are too many things the Koreans can do with that stone. Makes the hit and the roll, but again, rolls out past the guard. So a chance now for Park to make the hit and roll to cut off that corner. Again, I don't think he wants to be dead in behind it. Switching the sweeper now to make sure they get some roll. And there you see, not looking to be dead in behind it. Rolls to about half in behind. And gets close to edge with the stone on the 4-foot. So tough for Colton Flasch to make a playoff shot stone and get in behind cover. Looking at making a play on the second shot stone and maybe sit in front of the other stone. Doesn't have to play it with weight either. You see him talk about just tap it back 1.5 feet. They are going to play it with hit weight though. A quiet hit. Gallon Schneider. One brush down, he's been off and on, more or less clean and then hard, so the line's got to be close. Makes the hit, rolls just a little past the nose, but does stay, there you see it, good look, about half in front of that yellow stone. Tough for the Koreans now to remove the red without rolling past the guard. And that'll give Colton Flasch a chance to make a play on Shot Rock and see if he can't get buried on the corner. On the brush early here. Makes the nose hit actually and loses the stone in the 4-foot. Flasch almost looked like his first thought was to try to roll behind the Korean guard. I think they've settled on rolling behind their own. Their own is a higher guard, and you know, there might be the danger that the Koreans can come around, but the way they play the runbacks, I think I'd give them the come around tap rather than the short run. Colton Schneider looking for the roll. Makes the hit with that quiet weight. This time stays about half behind cover. Slightly overrolls it again, but you know, that's the way to miss a shot like that. You roll half out in the open. The Koreans have to come at it from the wide side. They're not going to be able to roll behind cover. If they make the hit and roll open, Colton could make a play on it because he might want to keep the blank alive, or if he really wants to play for two, he could just draw around that corner guard. Certainly if the Koreans roll out, you'll see Colton play the draw, try to get his deuce. So important to try to keep this in the rings. We do know it'll finish here. Koreans have already played this shot twice this end. Picked up the brush fairly early on this and looks like a firm brush early. It's a red corner guard. They got to get by, and with this quiet weight, if you crash, you could put it into the rings. Oh, great job by the brushers to get it by. Makes the nose hit, stays right there. Colton's first thought was to hit. Now thinking about coming deep around the yellow. Don't have mics on the players, but when you see a gesture like that, I know Catlin just asked how much they can see. I wish I could hear the answer, though. That's the thing. I've skipped for too many years, and I've played with too many front ends that would look at a rock like that and say, oh, you got almost all. They did just see this shot made by the Koreans, and the Koreans have made it 3 times this end. They know there's some finish here. A little bit of a double clutch there, looked like, from Colton as he was putting his release on, and they haven't touched it yet. Starting to curl now. You'll switch sweepers as you come by the guard, try to get a little bit more curl. Hits, but stays right there, not able to get the finish he needed to get fully under cover. Now with that rock being just a little bit further open, and still the corner of it's under the cover, but Jeong can see more now than he could see on the last attempt. If he can get to the inside, might be able to bury enough of this that Colton Flasch will have to try to take his single here. On the brush on this one early too. Now they were worried about the guard on the last attempt. This looks like he's thrown a little bit more weight and he's got a lot more room by the guard. Makes the hit, but this one rolls a little bit to the outside. Colton Flasch can see it all now. So another opportunity for Flasch here in the third to blank an end and keep last rock. It's anything on the outside. He'll get the blank. He could probably even hit this right on the nose. Firm weight from Colton once again. Brusher's just cleaning. Makes the hit, does roll the shooter to the boards. It's a blank end. After 3 ends of play, we've got just the single point on the board, that belonging to the Koreans. Colton Flasch continues with last rock when we come back for the fourth.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you and your farm ahead of the curve. Grow with us at victorycanola.com.
Sean Joyce on the call with you here from the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. The Koreans with a 1-0 lead here as we begin play in the fourth. They call for the center guard. You saw the call from Colton Flasch looking for the corner now. Koreans with the lead, no thought of throwing the second guard. They'll come around. Coming around from the open side. Ton of room by the guard, starting to move now. Trying to carve it in, get a little bit more curl. They will bring that stone right into the top of the forefoot. Dead buried behind the center guard, and we saw this attempt last end from Daniel Marsh trying to get a couple of things out of this. Move that guard off the center line. This one's a little higher. He might have a hard time getting the shooter into the rings. Certainly might be able to get a second corner guard out of it, though. Catlin Schneider on the brush on this one right away. Be a little bit thicker on that yellow. And if it goes all the way to the divider, it comes back. Does hang on at the edge of the 12-foot. It is second shot, and the shooter you can see has rolled underneath. So they now have a double corner. But he used a double corner last end, didn't have it. Going to have that opportunity this end if they get a chance to use it. Koreans looking for the center guard here and see if they can't keep the middle occupied so that Colton Flasch is a little too busy to get to the corner. Nothing out of the brushers yet, though. They wanted this as a guard. Does stop just in time and still dead lined up to that shot stone. Kevin Marsh going to be asked to play a run. Wants to hit this just off the nose, see if he can clip that stone going by, and would have loved to have kept his shooter for a corner guard. A little thin on the contact. Shooter rolls to the divider. The Koreans looking to replace the guard now. Sweeping for everything they're worth at the end just to get that last little bit of curl, but they've left half that rock exposed, and exposed on the side where Colton Flasch might have the opportunity to roll in behind the corner. Didn't have to think about this one too long. Kevin Marsh just missed the run back on his first attempt. Chance to hit and roll behind cover here on the second. Marsher's staying close to this. He's got that nice control weight. Really moving now. Going to make the hit. Now how far does he roll? Just in behind cover and moved it far enough that he's got shot rock. Jeong asked the other end, do you want to draw around the center, or would you like to chase behind the corner? You have to stay on the corner of that red stone, though, if you go around the corner guard. If you're right to the face of it, you won't be shot rock. It is still mostly in front of the tee line. Can't bounce off either, or you might leave the opportunity for... It would be Catlin Schneider throwing. You might leave the opportunity for Catlin to hit and roll under and sit too buried. This one moving across that center line pretty hard. Has to stay on the corner. If he gets to the face, he will not have shot rock unless they can move it far enough. Well, that's what they ended up doing. Moves it back to the back 12 foot. So the Koreans now sitting 2. Colton thought about playing the chip, try to chip it across the face of the red stone at the back 12. That would be pretty thin, tough shot. So they opt to try to get it straight back. Very similar shot to what they just saw. Now the Koreans did have room by the corner guard. And for Catlin Schneider, not as important to stay in the corner here. He's looking to tap this back. He doesn't mind getting to the face or even crossing it a hair if he could. He wouldn't be shot rock, but he would be well buried if he could get across the face. This one, I don't know if it's got quite the weight. It needs to move it, though. He'll bump it back. I'm not sure who's got shot rock, though, and nobody's going to point for us. The one on the open side definitely appears to be third. It's either the one Catlin just threw or the one he tapped back is shot rock. If I had to bet, I would say it's Catlin's stone at the top of the 8-foot, belonging to the red stone, belonging to the Flasch team, that's shot rock. Park can see half of it though, so they'll look to come around, chisel it out, and in this case, try to roll behind the center guard as well. Line was holding early, now sweeping from the offside, needing to get a little thicker to make sure they stay in behind cover. Made the hit. A little thin on the contact though, the shooter rolls past the guard. Still, it's the Koreans sitting 3 right now. Colton Flasch looking at, do you play the hit and roll on shot rock behind the center guard? They also talked about freezing to the yellow that's behind the corner guard. Problem there is if you make it perfect, they're just going to follow you, still sit 2. The 2 yellows that are beside each other on the right hand side as we face the house, that double's always going to be available, so you don't necessarily have to play it right now. Talking about the straight draw behind the center, but then there is the short run back. Looking at playing the 2 yellows and the roll, the other thing to consider, and I don't know whether this is the way they're talking about playing it, we can't hear them, the weight they're going to play, but they throw those control hits so well, and if you play the inside of that yellow stone, hit about 3/4 of it with that quieter weight, well, that's not going to be the quieter weight with that broom. I was going to say, if you play it with the quieter weight, the top rock out of the 2, you won't kill it, but it'll roll with your shooter, and you might stay frozen in front of it. Looks like opting to play the double here and try to roll behind the guard, maybe even past the guard. Catlin Schneider, big weight. Brush was on right away. Makes the hit. Comes all the way across and nudges the yellow. The first of those 2 yellow stones out the back of the rings, but appears to still be in play. And that matters. With the Koreans looking at trying to roll back to the middle, there's some danger. They could jam that stone, and then if you don't get buried, you might leave a double on the yellows back there. The yellow second shot stone is just about dead buried on the corner guard, but it's deep. If you rolled out here, Catlin Schneider would probably make a play to come down towards that stone. May not try to come all the way to it though. Leave some separation, just make it tough for the Japanese to remove it with their, pardon me, the Koreans, sorry, to remove it without jamming it back. Looking for the hit and roll behind center. If he doesn't get this buried behind the center, he could leave a double on the 2 yellows. He rolls too far. Colton Flasch should be able to draw to the stone at the back on the corner and get shot rock. Nothing early, and now sweeping from the offside, looking for some curl. And they will roll well past the guard. Colton Flasch working it as hard as he could. Did he get that far enough? Who's got second shot? Not sure who's got second shot. It looks like they're just playing the freeze with that ice, and if they're playing the freeze, I have to think that it's probably the Koreans who have second shot. If you thought you had second, you might try to tap this now. Not that you need to kill it. If you move it back about 1.5 feet, you could be sitting 2. That's what Catlin Schneider's looking at. Maybe that is what they're playing. Just need to move this back far enough that that red sitting beside it has it beat. Then it becomes very difficult for Jeong to, first of all, remove this red stone because he'll have 2 stones behind it. In the end, it's difficult to ignore it if they're sitting 2. Had to wait for this to start curling now. Is he going to have enough weight to tap that back? Rusher's still waiting on the line a little bit. Gets to the face, a little bit on the inside corner of it. From that angle, though, if Colton Flasch needed to, you could come off that with the last one and might be able to do that even with a freeze made here. Come across and touch that stone on the other side of the 12-foot. Another tricky shot here for Jeong. You've got to be careful. If you curl past the face of the red, you might not be shot rock. If you stay too far on the high side, Colton Flasch will be able to see enough of it to make the hit. The yellow at the back will go out. If you're on the corner, the yellow at the top probably goes over the top of the one at the back, and the red in the middle isn't going anywhere. So needs to get, say, 3/4 to the face here. Wants maybe a little bit of angle, but he can't, if he's only half on the red one, then his shooter's fully open. Colton Flasch will have a shot for at least 2 then. Yeah, right there. If you put it right where they're tapping the broom, that's ugly. So I think they've changed their mind, deciding to come around the middle. A little bit less danger coming around the middle, and this might come down to who do you think's got what would be third shot right now. If Flasch has third shot behind the corner and you leave him any kind of double over there, it's for 3. So they're opting to come around their center guard. Still a chance to set up the steal. Certainly at the very least can make Colton Flasch's last stone very difficult. Rushers are indicating that for weight they didn't really want to go, but they have to go to get by the guard. Well, he left a piece of that stone. Now, if Flasch has third, there is definitely a shot there to kill both yellows. You can catch the first yellow, the one that was just thrown, a little thin, have the shooter come across onto the red that's frozen at the back of the yellow. It does look like it's very close for what is now 4th, because Catlin Schneider took a look at both, and then I saw him try to take a peek underneath the rock just to get an idea if the center hole was perfectly in line with the center and tee lines. There's also the possibility, though, if you hit this right to come across off the yellow onto the red, there's a chance that yellow clips the back one going by, and you won't have to measure. Only has to touch it on the way by. The trickier part's going to be making the first 2. You've got to hit, it's probably about 1/4 on the first stone. Waiting for the line, starting to curl now. Now this looks like they're just playing for the deuce. Makes the tap through the rings. It's 2 points on the board for Colton Flasch. He takes the lead after 4 ends of play. It'll be Jeong with last rock in the 5th.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Well, when Colton Flasch made his way down to throw his last stone, I still thought he was playing the double for 3. I think Catlin wanted to play it. Colton, though, deciding that let's take the relatively simple deuce. It's a routine shot to play for the deuce in this case, and Yeongseok Jeong may be thankful that his rock stopped when it did, because if it slides a couple inches deeper, where Colton Flasch could have made the attempt for 3 without having to risk hitting the first one so thin, he might have made a play at it. As it was, where the stone was situated, he would have needed to hit the first one about a quarter, and that's probably a little thinner than you're comfortable, especially when you're down by 1 already and have a much more routine shot for the deuce. First stone here in this 5th end was the tight center guard. The Koreans looking to come around it. Gets the stone to bite the top of the forefoot, but not buried. Just gets the edge under the guard. Daniel Marsh be able to make a play on that stone. Makes the hit, stays right there. Now the edge of the stone out from under cover now. Still looks like Jeong wants to hit and roll away from that corner, or pardon me, away from the center. Try to get the play to the corner right now. He wouldn't mind blanking this 5th end, get last rock into the even ends in the 6th. One down playing 6 with last rock would be the exact same situation that Jeong had this afternoon in the qualifying game against Steve Laycock, and he made perhaps the shot of the bonspiel, coming through a port, making a very thin double with his final stone, put 5 points on the board. Kevin Marsh looking for the hit, would like to get the roll under cover. Gets a piece of that stone behind the guard. The Korean's going to make a play at the stone directly. They are so good at the runbacks, it wouldn't have surprised me had they tried to play the double here. If you're content to blank this end anyway. Quiet wait here. Swept it most of the way down and does stay at the edge of the 12. Kevin will be able to hit that, but too far to roll to get back behind the guard now, so they'll try to hit, stay right there. You hope for perhaps a half shot of the Koreans. Maybe they roll out or themselves roll a couple of feet towards the guard, make the roll a little bit easier for you on a follow-up shot. Makes the hit, and once you've started to roll, you may as well try to get it behind cover. It doesn't get there. It stays out in the open. Back 8 foot now, though. Jeong still content to play the roll to the open side. Wants to keep the play away from that guard. Makes the hit, but this time not able to hold the shooter in the rings. Well, did it spin back on him? Colton Flasch thought he had done a great job sweeping it out, and it spins back in and gets a bite of the 12, so they're going to have to make a play on it. I have to say that's probably the biggest spin I've seen so far this week. That rock was definitely out of the house and came back, looks like almost 2 inches. Gatlin Schneider a little on the outside yet. They're sweeping for some curl. They'd like to stay there. Nice shot there by Catlin to hang it onto the edge of the 12 without a lot of room to work. Important for the Flash team to stay there, because if you don't, Jeong, the way he's played this, and I think he's playing for the blank, he probably walks up there and peels the center guard, and then the blank's pretty easy. You want to keep that stone in the back in the hopes that you get a rollout, and you just about had it on the last one. Now there's a chance it might be coming here as well. The hit, again, rolls a little bit to the outside, but does hang on for a bite. Critical for Flash to stay there so that they don't have the chance to peel the guards. Critical for the Koreans to stay there so Flash doesn't have the chance to draw around the center guards. And these shots aren't as easy or routine as these guys have been making them look. Of course, through the course of the weekend, you probably haven't thrown a lot of hits out this wide. And you're not dealing with a lot of room to roll here before you're out of the rings. Catlin Schneider rolls a little bit closer to the center line now, so a little bit more room for really both teams to operate. Park looking to hit and stay right there, and again, Brushers were looking for some curl. Gets right to the nose this time. Catlin Schneider looking for the roll to the middle. Not sure if Colton necessarily went along with it yet. You certainly try to roll anything behind the guard on the last one. I don't know whether you do it here or not. If you make the perfect roll, Yeongseok Jeong may decide that if he's going to get forced, he may as well get forced to 2. On the other hand, Colton Flasch might be okay with letting Jeong take that chance. If he does get his deuce, you know you've got last rock and the even end, and if you can force him here, you've got last rock and even end in a tie game. Nothing out of the Brushers, waiting for some curl, now trying to manufacture a little curl. Gets the hit, stays pretty much right there. Jeong will be looking to hit and again probably stay there, maybe even roll just a broom's width to the outside if he could. You know that Colton Flasch will try to get the roll behind cover on his last one. We're on the brush early this time. Definitely wants to stay open. Does make the hit and roll a little bit wider. Sometimes interesting to see how teams want to approach this. You could play very aggressively for the roll. You certainly don't expect Jeong to miss the blank opportunity, so if you roll out, you expected him to make the blank anyway, but if you stay out in the open, you've left it too easy for him. So play aggressively for the roll here. Does look like they've tightened up the ice, going to throw a little bit firmer weight because they want to roll flat if they can. Nothing out of the brush. They're close though. Makes the hit now with the big weight. Is that enough to jump it all the way across in behind cover? And no, it will stay out in the open. Gave it a good run. Always tough to make a 6-foot roll to a precise spot when you have to throw it that hard, but you throw the extra weight in that case so that you can hit it a little thicker, roll flatter, stay higher in the rings. Final stone here, the 5th end. Yeongseok Jeong with a chance to blank. They were on the brush right away. He's got the big weight, should hold the line. Does make the hit, rolls the shooter out of play. We've got another blank in the 5th. Colton Flasch with a 2-1 lead as we go into the 6th end of play. It'll be the Koreans with last rock once again.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Sean Joyce with the call here for you from the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown in Swift Current. Quarterfinals Sunday night. Colton Flasch, Yeongseok Jeong. 2-1 as we begin play here in the 6th end. It's been quite the defensive struggle. 3 blank ends already. The 1 deuce scored in the 4th end by Colton Flasch, and you wonder if that might be the turning point in the game. In a tight defensive battle, sometimes that's all it takes is 1 deuce. Center guard thrown to start up the 6th end here, and now the Koreans looking for the corner. Winner of this game moves on to the semifinals. 9 o'clock Saskatchewan time tomorrow, 11 Eastern. Finals will follow at 1 o'clock Saskatchewan time. Certainly the way these two teams have played here this evening, wouldn't be surprised to see whoever wins this game end up in that final. Of course, there's 6 other teams out here on the ice that all want to have something to say about that too. Daniel Marsh with the come around to the top 12. It is in the rings, but realistically, that's also a second guard. Dead buries it on the longer one, so the Koreans can't make a play on it just yet. They're going to look to come around the corner guard. Sweeping from the offside for the curl now, actually looking for it to straighten out. It got nice and tight by the guard and almost and does peek out maybe a quarter of a stone. Just the 5th stone of the end to come now though. A little risky to try to play that yellow stone in the corner. If you ever clip the guard, it would go back. Probably easier to play it from the outside too, so you'd be clipping it towards your own stones in the middle. Kevin Marsh going to be asked instead to make the come around. Lots of room early. Again, these rocks really finish hard, so you got to wait for the curl. And this one might be going a little deep as well though. Does get buried, but all the way to the back forefoot, maybe a sliver of the button there. Has kept the 3 stones pretty much dead in line. This is the 6th stone though. The Koreans, and we've talked about it before through this game, they are so strong at the runbacks. Does look like that's what he's looking at. It's just a question of which direction you want to hit it. He wants to clip the one in the 12-foot for sure. If you're trying to catch the one at the back forefoot as well, you've got to... The closer you want to get to that stone at the back forefoot, the thicker you have to hit the first one, and you're going to leave your shooter there. You might want to play for a center line side hit on the first one. Just try to get the top double, the guard and the one in the 12-foot, and roll the shooter off that center line. Worry about that stone in the back of the forefoot later. Oh, has been so good at these runbacks all day. I might have jinxed him. Drives that one by and the shooter will roll out of play. It gives Colton Flasch a chance to deal with the 2 stones on the corner. He'll be looking for a similar type outcome, looking to, or similar type shot, different outcome. Wants to run this over the top of the stone in the rings, catch them both, and could roll the shooter to a center guard as well. Kevin Marsh makes the hit. Oh, bad luck there, just dead stuffs it on the stone at the edge of the 12 and leaves his shooter partially in front of that stone. Needed to come up just a hair. I think that gesture at the run back, I think they were worried that if they play the hit and roll in behind, that leaves the run back, so not going to play it that way, looking to hit that stone in the top 12. Your options are to play the double, but that leaves a double back because your shooter's going to stay in the middle. Or you play and hit and roll to the corner, sit second and third, well spread out. Throwing that quiet weight to try to control the roll. Makes the hit, but really doesn't roll very far. There's still going to be a double available on the yellows. A lot of room between them, but doesn't have to hit the first one overly thick. Third of a rock's probably pretty close. Anytime you're hitting a half or less, you're going to carry a lot of your shooter's weight across. Doesn't really even need to necessarily kill the second one. He'd love to move it over at least a few inches, though, just to pop it out into the open. On the brush early. Makes the hit. It's going to be a little thin on the first one, though. Comes underneath and all the way out of play. I'll be honest, with where he had the broom put down, I thought they were throwing the other turn. Gives the Koreans a chance to make a hit on shot stone. Sit 2. Well spread out. Does make the hit roll. Decision time now for Colton Flasch. If you just exchange hits here, you're probably giving up 2. Unlikely you're going to get a rollout anywhere along the way. You can play the hit on the stone that he's looking at. You can't really roll towards the middle, and I don't think they're going to try to chisel it. It would be awfully thin to try to slash it. Thought they might try the run back as well. Maybe a little bit too much room between those rocks. You want to make sure you're going to make contact with something yellow. The downside to this shot, you make the hit, even if you stay, the Koreans likely just ignore it and come around the corner. Got to get by, though. And he's not going to. It just rubs the corner guard. Well, now an opportunity for the Koreans to draw and try to sit 3 somewhere now. Where do you put it so you don't leave either a double or a hit and roll that could cause some trouble? That yellow stone in the 12-foot is fully exposed now, but if you roll behind the guard, you're still only second, and certainly doesn't look like you could get far enough to the inside to roll towards the stone on the other side of the house. Probably the best spot, if you could get it there, would be top 12 at about the 10 o'clock position. So well over into the open. You start coming around this corner guard, and the potential is there to leave doubles or perhaps even leave something that Colton Flasch will try to freeze to get out of trouble. Oh, looking at the 8-foot, I think you could put it a foot farther over and a foot higher up as well. A lot of discussion here about playing towards their own rock. With as good as this Flasch team is at the angles, I just don't know why you play over there, and you're certainly going to leave them some kind of a double. Boy, if you ever left it angled wrong and there was a triple, that would be a disaster. Same thing as well, if you slide back T and allow them to freeze to it, you now eliminate your second and third shot. So I think in the end they have decided, not 100% firm on it yet, but they have decided to go to that 10 o'clock position in the 12 foot. There would be a paper thin double available, but it'd be tough. You still might see the Flash team make a play on this shot. Try to hit it and roll in front of the shot stone. Don't think they'll play for the double unless you slide this a little too deep and make the double a little bit easier. Colton Flasch with the ever-effective sweep fake there, ready at the tee line, and when he realized it was going to stop a little higher, thinking he'd just let it die and leave the thicker double, did slide far enough. It's a little on the thin side, but there's not a lot of room between those two rocks either. If he hits a third of a rock, he probably catches the front end of that. His shooter might spin up and out of the rings. Quarter of a rock, probably good, stays right there. At this point in time in this end, Colton Flasch has to be content with giving up 2 because they're in danger right now of giving up 3. Chance to get out of a little trouble with the double here. A little thick on the first one, but does clip the second stone. Makes the double. His shooter rolls out of play as well. So the Korean's sitting 1. And again, talking about coming around the corner guard, that would make absolutely no sense here. So the only way you leave Colton Flasch a double here is if you come around the corner. So they discussed it briefly, but they're going to go to the open side. This time, you want to bring it a little tighter to the center line, maybe catch a bite of the 4 foot, because if you draw to the 12 foot, Colton Flasch has room on that yellow stone in the rings right now. He could get to the inside of that, roll behind his own guard, but he's only going to be about half in the 8 foot. So you want the shooter here to end up in a spot where Colton can't roll behind for shot rock off that stone that's already there. Pressure's really just cleaning it early. We want this to cross center. The line's coming nice now. Now they'll try to put a tee line or maybe even just a rock's width behind the tee line. Don't think they're too worried about Colton Flasch trying to freeze to it in this situation. You just don't want it so high that he can make the hit and roll behind the corner up high. He's going to play the hit and roll behind the corner, but if he makes it now, he's going to be back 8. And with the amount of finish there is on this ice, probably still have a chance to come down to it and move it far enough to sit 2. And again, when you're trying to play a roll that flat, Colton Flasch, you can see where the broom is, has to throw the up weight because you're trying to scoot it across, well, edge of 4. He's got to get into the full 8 foot, so you need pretty much a 5 foot roll here, and you want it to be straight across, so he's got to throw a little bit up weight here. Waiting on it to curl, but not sweeping for the extra curl. Hits it right on the beak, stays there. Jeong will have a chance here with his final stone. Just needs to hit and stay. Can pick up 2 and retake the lead after 6 ends of play. Just the 1 deuce on the board so far for Colton Flasch in end number 4 here in end number 6. Jeong with a chance to answer back the deuce of their own. Rusher's just cleaning it in. Will hit it right on the nose. Put 2 points on the board for the Koreans. They've got a 3-2 lead now after 6 ends of play. It'll be Colton Flasch with last rock in the 7th.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
The reason we trust Western Sales with our business is the people. I'm sure that there's 100 years experience coming out of that shop. We trust them because we do a CMI on our combine and on our tractor. When our equipment comes out of Western Sales, it's going to be good, because if it's not, they send us another combine, they send us another tractor. And we're not naive to the fact that that probably costs them a lot of money. So we just know that the service that we're getting at Western Sales is above par to everybody else.
Center guard thrown up to start this 7th end, and now Daniel Marsh will be asked to throw one to the corner. For those of you who don't have all 4 games open on your screen, I'll let you know that in the other games, we've got Nicholas Adine having picked up 3 in the 5th end against Aaron Sluchinski. He's got a 4-1 lead there. That game in the 6th end. Still in the 5th between Epping and Cooey. They're all tied up at 2. It is Cooey with the last rock. And Jacques Gauthier leading 4-2 over Ryland Kleider. Gauthier with the last rock as they play in the 6th. The winner of this game will go on to play the winner of the Adine Sluchinski match tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. It's going to take us 2 or perhaps 3 more ends to figure out who that's going to be. Rushers were on this one right out of his hand by the guard. But when you come by the guard that tight, it comes right out into the open on the other side. Thought we might see Colton Flasch make a play on removing the stone, but instead of asking Daniel Marsh just to sit on the face of it. The Flash team is an excellent front-running team. They might be one of the teams that has a definite preference, if they've got the choice, to be one up coming home, even without last rock. And if that wasn't the case in a normal game, you know, it might be more of a factor here, and that the fact that deuces have been so hard to come by. So you've got a chance here to get your deuce. You take it. If that doesn't work out, he'll still try to play for the blank this end. I'm sure he won't be uncomfortable if he's one down with coming home. Koreans looking to follow that stone down that Daniel Marsh just threw. Had one brusher down all the way, now joined by the second. And this is going to come up just a little bit short. Still, that can be a bit of a problem for Colton Flasch. That stone kind of blocking his axis. Does have room. Maybe hit it across the face. That's what he's looking at. Across the face on the red onto the shot stone. And your shooter could roll to the corner. Don't know if you can get it into the rings or not. His first thought was to play it direct, just play the tight yellow one over the top of the red. Try to jam it back onto shot rock. I think he looked at playing it as a double peel. Try to do that as well. Now with that ice, I think they're going to throw some weight here. Maybe not so worried about trying to keep the shooter around. Kevin Marsh in danger hitting the longer guard and is going to clip it. Does leave it in play for a corner guard and exposes half of that redstone now, the half that he would need to jam it onto shot rock. So, you know, not a horrible result for Colton Flasch. He's still got something to work with. Plus a second corner guard, which is, you know, great if you're trying to score two. It is getting a little harder if he has to try to blank this in. There's too many things for the Koreans perhaps to hide one behind to try to get the force. A lot of rocks to come yet though. Oh, looking to throw the center guard. Needing to protect that half of the redstone that Colton Flasch could use to promote it onto shot. Colton now looking at the same shot I think they just tried. So the tight yellow across the face of the red in the rings, jam it back into shot stone. Kevin Marsh again, just rubbed the guard on his first attempt. They're on the brush right away again. This is going to be close to the guard again. But he might have overcurled, did. He will make contact with the two, but sends both of them out of the rings. Needed to drive it over the top. Dead stuffs it, so the one yellow top of the 8 is shot rock. There might be a port just wide enough to get to it. It's going to be difficult. Koreans looking at, can we make the port to draw another one in there? It's a tight port, but it is there. Brushers are going to have to stay close to this one with the amount of late finish there is and the big swing. Really going to have to manage the line on this shot to make that port. Waiting for a line call. Curling now. They've picked the sweep up a little bit harder. Boy, really moving now. He is just going to rub the long guard and actually might not have had the weight to make the rings anyway. first thought was to just play the draw. Looking now at a split on the red. Could see enough of that red to play a run onto the yellow, but probably hard to keep the run back stone in the rings. Well, I thought the indication was he was going to play the split. Looks like he's just worried about playing the hit and roll. Wants to get the red one out of the way. I thought they'd play this as a draw weight split. You could definitely get two red rocks into the rings here. Now that might be what he's playing. It doesn't look like a lot of ice. Well, it wasn't a lot of ice, but for the weight they were playing with the right ice, they played that with, fairly aggressively. There was no port there, I guess, so played it with back line to probably, that might have been just through weight if he doesn't touch anything. And by doing that, he gets a really good push on the raise stone. It's way over to the edge of the 12-foot. Shot stone now open. Second shot is the Flasch stone on the edge of the 12-foot that the Koreans now going to make a play on. Third shot buried behind a wall of yellow, although there are runbacks available later on if the Koreans get a chance. Makes the hit, rolls into the 8-foot, but still just fully open. Flasch looking at making a play on the stone at the top of the house. I think from that indication he's saying that we want to make sure we have a path to the button. Problem is if you roll buried and you're not shot rock, and you might not be, the Koreans might still be shot rock at the edge of the 8. You may see the Koreans draw around the middle. Nose hit here might be good. You hit on the nose. Have to see the overhead to know for sure, but if you hit on the nose, the Koreans might not be able to hit on the nose again and be second shot. Then you could go after the one on the side of the 8. I think the initial thought was to roll behind the corner guard, and I think that is what they stuck with, but I don't think they'll be heartbroken if they hit this right on the nose. This is still backing way off that center line. They need some curl. So looking to sweep from the curl side. Not a lot of weight here either, so if he hits this thin, is he going to get the yellow out? Gets it out far enough that that stone at the front 12-foot is still sitting third. And the shooter, you can see, did end up buried behind the corner guard. But it's not shot rock. The Koreans no choice now but to try to come around the middle. Well, I think the blank is out of the question now for this seventh end. Jeong needs to get this buried. If he leaves any piece of it available, Colton Flasch likely to have a chance for the double, and it's not just that he'd have a chance for the double, but if you leave a piece of the rock out past the center line and Colton can make the double, bringing his shooter across into the side of that yellow, well, it's going to be dead buried. when he comes into the side of that yellow at the 8-foot. He's sitting 3, and the Koreans won't have access to any of them. So absolutely critical that he bury this. Even if you had to come a little deep, bury it, force Colton Flasch to draw perhaps, and at least by doing that, and this picked early, this is gone. That should have had a blinker, to be honest. That made a hard turn. It was only a couple of feet out of his hand. Discussion time now for Team Flasch. Do you come around? And yes, you'd only be sitting 1. You could make a play on shot rock right now. The problem is if you make it any good, the Koreans are coming around the middle to try to save the end, and if they get there first, you might only get 1. It could be a steal. If you overbury the guard, they could still come in and perhaps try to steal. If you sit anywhere in the 4-foot, they follow you down. And I don't know, with the position of that corner guard, the red corner guard, if you bury one on this one, I don't know that you could necessarily throw one to get by it to the button on your second one. They did talk about just full 8-foot at the top, around the center guard. You want to be just deep enough to be shot rock. You could make a play on the yellow right now. Try to sit 3. Even if you just pick it, try to sit 2. If Jeong makes a perfect come around with his last one, you do have your red corner guard. You could run in on an angle. Could be for 3. 4 if you could hold the shooter playing this one. And Jeong has to absolutely bury his last one for you to even play that, because even if he's just dead buried, there might be enough room with the amount of curl there is here to pass it through. Again, he wouldn't need to get it all the way out of the house, just needs to pass it to the back of the 12-foot, at least 2, depending where he hangs his shooter here. Could be 3, might even be a shot for 4. Definitely can see enough of that yellow with the quiet weight that he's going to throw to hang his shooter on the edge of the 12-foot, sit 3 for the time being. Colton Flasch with his first stone here in the 7th end. Trailing by 1, he does have last rock. Looking to make a play on shot rock here. If he can hold the shooter, he could sit 3. This is going to have to curl to make contact, though. Boy, they were on that early. He'll make the hit. Does move it far enough that he's got shot rock, but not far enough to sit second. Boy, I think that they really looked like they expected more curl than that. They were on the sweep a little bit early. Nothing firm, but they were cleaning. Takes away some of the risk for the Koreans. As long as you're halfway around the center guard here, it's pretty unlikely that Colton Flasch has a chance for the double. And that stone that he moved to the back did stay for second shot. So you could sit shot and third here. If you're buried, Colton has a choice to make, though. Does he come after it directly, or does he play the angle run-in? Might just depend on how well buried this is. Don't think you're going to see him shoot for 1. Brushers jumped this right away. Backing away a little bit now. It's still a long ways out. You know it's going to finish. But they've switched up the sweep, trying to get a little bit extra curl now. A ton of room by the guards. Brushing it for every last little bit of curl they can get at the end, and does overbury it by half a rock. And Colton looking at running the corner guard in. Probably the only discussion here will be how much weight do you want to throw, because there is the possibility, if you're just over the top of that one a little wee tiny bit, you could drive it onto the back when it could still be for 3. You don't have to whip it even for that, but you probably need a little bit more than hack. If you were just trying to drive the guard onto that one in the 4-foot and make sure you had it out of the 8-foot, you could do that with pretty quiet weight. Looks like they're going to throw closer to normal hit at it here. Give themselves a chance, if the line's perfect, to make the double. Colton Flasch, this final stone. Angle raise hit. If he can stick it, it's for 2. If he makes the double, it's for 3. We're on the brush early. Now they backed off. Boy, same mistake here as they had on his first one. A little bit clean, and it doesn't come up for them. Drives it by everything. It's a steal of 1 for Jeong, and they will take a 2-point lead, 4-2, into the 8th end. Flasch continuing to have last rock.
The roaring game. We all love it, but sometimes curling just isn't as fun as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. Don't get stuck in your curling club this year. Learn the game inside and out. Play for your favorite country and take the curling world by storm. With up to 4 players per console, you can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Sean Joyce with the call here as we begin the 8th end in this quarterfinal matchup. Colton Flasch trailing by 2. He does have last rock. Jeong with a steal of 1 in the 7th end. 2-point lead as we begin the 8th. Threw the first stone to the top of the 4-foot. Looking at playing a tight center guard. I'll be honest, I'm surprised they're looking at throwing a guard at all. You could probably bring this right into the top of the 4. You'd expect that Colton Flasch throws another corner guard. And then if you've got 2 guards or 2 rocks in the 4-foot, you could throw a guard. Flasch has had his opportunities to score deuces. And actually for a while in, was it end number 4, did look like he might be able to set up 3. So he'll be keeping that in mind if he can. 3 points will be in the back of his mind until he has to make a choice. That's why he's throwing the second corner guard here. And throwing it on the other side. I think in this case, we have seen teams throw their two corners to the same side. In this case, because there have been so many chances to play angle run-ins, I don't think Colton wants two guards on the same side. He wants to keep two raises available. This is the situation I was just talking about. The Koreans could have thrown two right into the top of the forefoot and then try to throw the guard. Now you're having to throw a come around. I'm not sure what the other option is that they're talking about. Could they possibly be thinking about throwing another center guard? This would be shocking. Colton Flasch sitting back there has to be getting a little bit excited. Yes, throw the guard, throw the guard. Give me some extra rocks to work with. Well, the last thing I saw him indicate was still the guard. No, and I have seen teams play it this way when it's a 1-point game. A lot of teams will play it like it's a steal situation because it's very hard to stop a team from scoring two. So you play it like it's a steal situation. But it's not a 1-point lead now. It's a 2-point lead. Colton Flasch picks up 2 here. He still needs to steal the extra end. You play with a lot of extra rocks in play, and that's where you could open the chance for him to get 3. Kevin Marsh looking to come down to shot stone right now. They've got angles available from both sides, so they don't really need to move this just yet. Wants to get to the face of it. When he does get to the face of it, they'll tap it back a little bit. Is the Yellowstone back button belonging to the Koreans that is shot rock. But that stone just delivered by Kevin Marsh is buried underneath the double centers. Looking to come down, sit on top of the red stone. And this looks like it's going to be a little bit light. Really moving towards the guards. And he will rub. Now it does spin back at the end, so a little bit fortunate that he plugged the port. Colton can't get there to tap it again. Looking at perhaps coming wide, sitting third shot around the corner guard. There is a port on the intern side as well. It's a tougher port. That's what he's looking at now. It's there. Trick here is you got to make sure you overbury the guards. You've got to get close to the face of your own red, because if you're sitting on your red, you want to leave them lined up to that yellow at the back of the button. This will go. You can get there. if you were trying to dead bury on the center, you wouldn't have to be that tight by the guard. He's going to have to be a little bit tighter by it here as they're trying to come out on the other side of the guard, get to the face of the red and the forefoot. Brushers are going to have to stay close to this one. It's a fairly narrow port when you're trying to draw. Starting to move now. Had to wait for it to curl. Now really moving hard. Not going to get the line he needs on the face of it. Can he bump off enough? And I think he did. Bumped off enough that if you had to play red onto yellow, you've got it on both sides now. There is a piece of that red stone exposed. Jeong looking at, can you make the port? With some weight, probably. Make the double on the reds. It's probably there. You can see, have to think about a third of it from the hacks. With firm weight, that's enough. On to third stones now. This is Yeongseok Park. With big weight looking to make the port. Might have been a little back on the release. This is riding back on him. Gonna touch it, but straight sideways, so just kills the one red stone. Leaves the one at the top of the forefoot now. If because it's over that little bit further, might be a little bit easier for Callan Schneider to get the line this time to tap red onto yellow. It was over buried on the last one. He actually can see a piece of the red stone now. Colton even wondering about back 8-foot weight. Well, his first indication was tap the red and roll over behind the corner, but I think he wants to keep everything in a line. Get to 3/4, 7/8 of the red. Tap it onto the yellow. Leave everything on that same angle. Looks to be a little tighter line early. They picked up the brush. Makes the port now. They go from the other side, get that last little bit of finish, try to keep all the rocks in line just like that. Can't see very much of the top red one. Maybe overcurled just a hair. I don't know. There might be room if he can see enough of the top one to drive it across the top of the stone on the button and still clip it. Flasch sitting 1. The Korean stone at the back of the forefoot is second shot right now. Koreans really can't just guard things up though, because Flasch has 2 stones he could run in there yet. Pick up 3 and win the game. Can see a piece of that stone at the top of the forefoot. The problem you run into there, if you're trying to hit that stone and you catch it thin again, and you did just wick the last one, if you don't catch the stone in the button, you leave Colton Flasch room to come down, sit on the face of his own. He's already sitting 2. You'd have a hard time stopping him from scoring his 2, and still a few rocks left to see if he can't get his third one. So really picking that stone off the top of the forefoot would not be good. I'm not sure what they settled on. Still talking about trying to sit on the face of it. Hard to sit on the face of it on an angle that would be good for you. I think they're going to guard the port. Taking a lot of ice here, just trying to protect the port that the Flash team has come through on the last two. Looking to maybe, if they could, take away the angle raise as well, so maybe trying to get to just half a rock on the inside. Boy, if they stay on the outside of this, they could queue it up. Well, got ever so slightly across the face, but there's probably enough room still to get between those two. Tougher now, but it is there. Probably worth a try. If you even rattle between the two guards, you likely still leave yourself a rock that you could raise, and that's still a problem for the Koreans. Not sure if Catlin's seeing anything different or not. This might be a discussion of how much weight do we want to play. You saw Catlin indicate if we just rub the guard on the way by, we could get another one in, and that becomes an issue of the weight. If you throw hack weight, rub it on the way by, you probably go all the way through the back. So the indication from Catlin, just back line weight, back 12 weight. If you make the port, you're probably red onto yellow and sitting 2 anyway. Back 12 weight, when you have to move 3 rocks, that back yellow is not going to move very far. And I think part of the discussion was, well, if we don't get by, which one do we want to risk hitting? And I think that was the decision. If you're going to rub a guard, you got to rub the one on the center line so that your shooter can carry into the rings. Boy, this is close. Sweeping for that last little bit of curl, does just get by. Catlin Schneider, outstanding shot now. A little bit thin on the first one. Doesn't make contact with the yellow, but he is sitting 2 right now. And the shooter rolls in behind the corner guard, so no direct access to it either. Flash sitting 2. Green's looking at the double. Well, I guess he can see most of that, or half of that stone. It's probably more than he needs if he wants to try to play the double, but it is a skinny port. Jeong made a shot actually very similar to that, a double in the 6th end against Lakehawk this afternoon to score 5. That was a thin double through a port that wasn't a whole lot wider than this one. Might have been narrower, actually. He's got plenty of room to get a rock through there. Question might be, can you catch it thin enough with the out turn? You might have to throw the in turn in order to get the contact thin enough to come across. The out turn, if it finishes at all, if you hit half a rock on that stone at the top of the 8 foot, you're coming across the one in the 4. Trying to hit a quarter or maybe even a little bit less. You can see half. It's got enough daylight to hit it a little bit thinner than half, but of course if you throw the out turn, you'll be curling into it. It gets harder to hit it thin. There's the indication they are playing the in turn with negative ice, but I mean really, if this runs straight down, the broom is pretty much right where he needs to hit it. I was on the call for that game against Laycock this afternoon. This is eerily similar to the shot he threw in the 6th for 5. Very close to the same spot in the ice, too. He did change the turn here. He's playing the out turn. The port looks a little bit more natural through the out turn. It's harder to get the thin contact that he needs. Still on the guard, so they're sweeping for all the curl they can get. Actually clips the higher guard, rattles a few of them around, and promotes another red stone into the rings. And now the yellow at the back of the forefoot that is currently 3rd shot is wide open. Colton Flasch obviously going to make a play on that, but they might take a minute here to discuss how they want to hit this. If you hit it right on the nose and sit there, you've kind of created a wall at the back. Is there any way you can hit this so that you don't leave a wall? It helps that the Koreans just rubbed that stone in to the 8-foot. You only need 3 to win. You don't need to keep the 4th one around. You certainly don't need to necessarily hit and sit 5 here. Even if you leave a double, kill one of your own and leave a double, you still got a shot for the win. I would be tempted, if you can do it. They weren't tapping the rocks enough to get an idea what they're trying to play here, but if you could touch your own red first, the one that's on the center line, touch it, then kill the yellow, spin over and maybe nudge that other one further in behind the corner guard so that the only stone that he's got access to is your shooter and there's no pocket. That might be the best result. On the sweep early. Wants to just touch his own, doesn't need to hit it too big. Oh, they didn't touch it at all. Sits 5, but definitely has left a pocket back there. Question is, how do you get to it if you're Yeongseok Jeong? Can you get just across the face of the stone that was just delivered? He's looking at, can you get to the one in the corner, roll in front of the one that was just delivered? Might be easier to get to the one that was just thrown and roll in front of the stone in the back of the button. Or if you double them, even roll in behind cover. There is a pocket there, but because of where the 2 yellow guards are, I don't think you can make a draw to the pocket. There's just no way to get there. You'd have to throw some weight, and then of course you're gonna kill one of the rocks you need for the pocket behind you. Keep talking about hitting the one on the left side as we look at it from the overhead. Hitting the one on the left side of the 4-foot, roll in front of the one that's shot rock. Problem is you can't really see all of that rock that they're looking at hitting. If you've got to throw quieter weight to hit enough of it, you may not roll far enough across. You've got to get at least to the nose on that stone in the 4-foot, or pardon me, in the button. If you stay anything on the outside of that rock, Colton Flasch can blast it out. Won't care if he kills two of his own. He's got his shooter, and the two on the other side would be all he needs to win the game. Not really, I don't think, even looking to kill the first redstone that they're making contact with. I think the thought now is you're playing off of it, mostly because you don't have a path to just draw into the pocket, but just trying to chisel a little bit. Probably only throwing about back 8, so you can hit that first one a little bit thinner. Come across onto the second, and you might have to spin up a little bit to stay to the inside of it. There are going to be 3 or perhaps 4, if he doesn't kill this stone, red rocks across the back, and Colton Flasch will have to find a way to get the yellow out. Mind you, he doesn't mind if he has to take it out off one of his own. Still got a lot of curling to do if it's going to get that red thick enough to get across the top of the second one. Gets mostly across the top, but again, I think it's a nose hit on the yellow when the 2 reds go. He's got all of it. The yellow will go across the top of the stone at the back 8 foot, I believe. They maybe aren't sure. Maybe they think it's going into the stone at the side of the 8. That's what Colton's looking at right now. Catlin looking at the slash. That's really not there. You play the nose hit on the yellow, you're getting 2 for sure. Even if it comes into that red at the back of the 8 foot, it's not coming dead solid into the side of it. It might come to the top of it and spin across. You might end up killing 3 reds, but you're definitely getting 2. I still think there's a chance it goes all the way over the top. You look at it from the hack end, that Yellowstone is frozen to a little more than half of the redstone behind it, so it's going pretty well straight sideways here. I'm also not 100% sure. The red at the back of the button, just because of the angle, it may not actually touch the stone at the back of the 4 foot either. Catlin seeing something else, or perhaps Colton not liking the looks of this angle from the hacks. Are they looking now perhaps at almost picking the yellow? Of course, it's still going to touch that red. I don't think there's any way you're hitting it thin enough to not touch the red that's behind it. But if you play a very thin hit on the yellow, it'll only slightly redirect and probably doesn't kill that red at the back of the 4. You'd lose your shooter. They're looking at that slash again. I just don't see how that doesn't kill 2 yellows and roll out, or pardon me, 2 reds and roll out. The only way you're making that slash to keep the slash stone in the 4-foot, you'd have to slash it dead, and then the 2 reds at the back, I think, are going. Your shooter's rolling out for sure, so it's only for 2. Now, it is always a little tougher to tell the angles from the overhead. Sometimes you do have to defer to the players on the ice, and it certainly looks like they're worried that yellow is coming straight into that red at the back of the 8-foot. Hard to tell as well from the overhead if there's any room between those 2 stones, the yellow and the red. Looks like there may be maybe an inch between the 2 stones, a little bit of space anyway. In the end, I think Colton Schneider's gone back to that, or pardon me, Colton Flasch has gone back to that shot. It's a nose hit. Your shooter will count 1. Even if that yellow comes into the red at the side, I don't think it's coming dead into it. It's too thick on the first one. It's going to come over the top a bit. Should spin, so the stone in the 8-foot, the top of the house, should count for the second point. If it goes across the top of the red in the back 8, you're guaranteed a shot for 3. And I'm not even sure that the second stone at the back of the 4-foot will get hit. Now, this is on the outside. He wants to hold the shooter for sure. That is not the way he needed to hit it. Ends up killing 3 of his own. He makes will pick up the single, but not the 2 points he needs for the tie. It'll be a win for the Koreans. Yeongseok Jeong holds Colton Flasch to a single point here with the hammer in the 8th end, and Flasch comes up just a little bit short. Killed 3 of his own stones with that last shot and rolled the shooter out of play. Unable to pick up the deuce that he needed for the tie. Jeong will move on to play in the semifinal. That'll be tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. We will have all the action for you here. Semifinals at 9 and the finals at 1. You can see it all in the SaskTel Curling Stadium. My name is Sean Joyce. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight and all weekend long, and we will see you for those last 2 rounds tomorrow.